So the Extreme BPM Tuesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. That is East African time. Tuesdays and Fridays on eJazz Radio and eJazz Extra. So that is eJazz Radio, eJazz Extra, Tuesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. My name is Mark Xtreme, and we get to have conversations around, the music business, and we have musicians on the show. So that's what we do Tuesdays and Fridays, because Monday to Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. we play more of the music, and then Tuesdays and Fridays we get into the the conversations with the musicians, and then sometimes people that are also involved in the business, just like the lady I'm talking to today that has an interesting journey in the music business and has done this for a while too. And I believe that for an artist that is getting started, even the people that are already in the business, I believe they will benefit more from this conversation. And because things keep changing as the years go by. So what we are doing last year and the pandemic thing, the dynamics in promotion of music, and even building up buzz around an artist and music keeps changing because of the advancement in technology, things that come up like TikTok and social media, and how people use that in order to tell a story from an artist's perspective, introducing that to the world. But hey, we have Jacqueline Jax on the show. She's from Air Radio, and welcome to the show. How is everything going for you in the new year 2022?
Thank you for having me here. It's so nice to finally be here with you. It's exciting because we've been talking back and forth so long without actually having a video conversation. Yeah. So thanks for bringing me on. It's nice to be here. 2022 is starting off just as busy as it was ending. Oh my goodness. When 2021 ended, I thought December was going to be a nice, calm December, and it absolutely wasn't. I got no time off at all. I worked right through Christmas. I think I had a day or an afternoon, a couple of naps here and there, and that was about it. And I think this is where we're at today in the music business. It seems like there's more than enough business to be done, and there's so many projects and so many things going on, especially online, because of the pandemic. And it certainly has changed the landscape. I've been around for 25 years in this business and working in radio or advertising and working with artists in development. And I can say this is probably the easiest time for indie artists to get into the game, because there are so many things happening and so many things you can do yourself.
Yeah, and the interesting part is this, though, much as you are now on the side of helping artists, put their music out, how did your journey start in the music? Because we have to get from that side. How did that get started for you?
Well, I started in artist development years ago in Miami, working for the American Vocal Academy. And primarily what I did is I used to go into the recording studios, and I would find a way to get the very best out of the artists and relate them to the engineer. And I would try and work back and forth for different labels where you get an artist in there and basically they haven't really been able to articulate their vision. And they freeze up in the studio, and what happens is you spend a lot of time trying to get the best out of them, right? They haven't had a lot of training. They probably are very nervous usually when they go in. The producer doesn't know how to communicate what he's looking for, right? So I was kind of like that liaison in between, and I used to be able to get very, very good voices out of people, like stretch their range and just get them really doing things that they didn't think that they could do before, so that they could sing this music live once they got it recorded. And that at that time was a big deal. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have a lot of fancy things, So getting someone really up to speed quickly was what I primarily did for different record labels. And then after that, I got an opportunity to work in radio. And honestly, I had a manager at the time. He said, well, you want to go on internet radio or you want to go on FM radio? We can put you on radio in Miami. And I'm like, okay, great. So how many people are we going to reach? And he says, well, we will reach about like 100,000 people. And I said, yeah, but we're reaching like over 250,000 people online. So can we do both? And he goes, if you're reaching 250,000 people online, we're not going to put you here. You got to keep doing that. He goes, and I honestly, I know nothing about it. It was so uncharted territory that I just stayed where I was. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and take my chances here. It's just, I feel like it's more progressive, So I stayed in it. And then before I knew it, I was doing public relations, advertising, you can't help it. There's just so much to do. And if you have a knowledge of social media, which I did, as we got started, and as apps came up, I would use them to get more advertising exposure for those shows. And it kept rolling from there. Now I have a newsletter called Jax Daily News, and it kind of translates a lot of things, like Facebook sends me updates and nice press releases on what's going on, because when I tend to write articles, if I get it wrong, then they definitely want me to alter it. I get little letters from them like, hey, can you just alter this? Because the search engine listings just categorize me really, really well. And ultimately, I've been able to use that even to gain exposure for indie artists. So I've stayed in it. I have the opinion that, listen, if you are having fun every single day in your job and you've managed to do that, then you don't need to stop. You can keep doing that. But the minute you don't enjoy it, then you go do something else. But I'm still happy. I'm still very, very happy where I am.
And it's interesting that you've done that 25 years now, and you still, because a lot of people that come from where it started before we had streaming services and YouTube, social media, and all that taking over, it's hard for a lot of people to adapt into the new way of promoting music and introducing music to the world. So where does that come from for you in the ease to easily adapt with whatever technology that comes up, whatever advancement that comes up?
I have to thank my mom for that, because she was the one that always pressed on me to take computer lessons. So I actually learned how to build websites when they were still just figuring it out. I mean, WordPress wasn't even there yet. So I was in college, just building websites for myself and for just projects that I wanted to do. And I was mystified by it. I was like, wow, I can make a web page look so cool, and I can put anything on it, and then I can get it out there and people can sign on to it. I thought it was so cool. So I kind of was always really obsessed with web design and like shaping out your own corner of the universe, which for the entertainment business is a wonderful thing, because every artist needs to have some real estate.
Yep.
And buying, and when you start looking at it and you say, oh, this makes sense, I understand what's happening here. The internet is filling up with online real estate. People are buying their names. You're getting some domains. It's really becoming more and more easier to have a website. But at the time, you still had to pay a lot of money to get a website designed and built. You couldn't really do it yourself. You had the manuals and things, and it was like, it took a long time to be able to do it. But now I've seen the technology just go to Squarespace and WordPress and blogs. Like you can even just, build something out on YouTube if you wanted to, and have a blog, and you're good. So it's changed so much, but I have really loved it every step of the way.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into the streaming services and the music and all that, but there's also this part, the life of people that do a lot of work behind the scenes in the music business, right? Because a lot of people get to see what is before them, which is the artist, and they think that it's fun, yes, working in, but they never see because they'll see the artist for 2 hours, but they don't know you behind the scenes has put in 8 to 10 hours to make sure that happens. And even the quality of what the show will be like, like how you are working with in artist development, helping them sound better, and all that work that you put in. So for you as the person behind the scenes that people never get to see because they see the artist at the front, what makes you happy, or what gives you joy in doing that, in doing the job that you do?
Well, right now I produce a show that not only kind of translates the latest in music industry news, but it also plays new music. And as a result, I have a team of PR individuals that work at promoting that show. And so we're really good at music marketing. So we end up taking music marketing clients. And what happens is I will use like everything I know to get, like if we have 1 million impressions on Twitter, then I can get that for an indie artist, because it's pretty much the same premise, whether you're marketing a podcast or you're marketing an individual like me as a radio show host, or you're taking an artist that has absolutely no footprint and you're creating a digital footprint for them. And you're also starting to introduce them to different social media pages. I don't necessarily lock into any one in particular, because social changes so much, as we've just seen, like TikTok is almost ruling the world, right? And Instagram's right there trying to get it too. So like, and YouTube is still a really big place where people discover music. So, there's so many that I always tell people, listen, start with what you know, start with where you are. And if you can't figure out social media, then you got to go just back to the basics and just get really honest with it. Like, to do Instagram, build out 9 really nice photos or something, or reels and videos, and express yourself there, and then just go out there and talk to people on social media instead of being like building out your profile all the time. So there's a lot of things you can do as an indie artist, and I love doing it. And the reason why I stay, like I said, is just because it gives me joy to see other people doing well, and I love the people like yourself that I get to meet just by doing this job. I'm a very big introvert in one way, but a people person in another way. And I get to mix my creative energy with some really great people who also have that really amazing creative energy. And that is something that I find really feeding my soul. Like, I feel like I love having friends that are just as creative, that are there just like excited to get up every single day and do what they do. And that's, this is a great place to meet those. So I'm staying here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now because we broadcast, we are in East Africa now, and we brought now, like for example in Uganda, Spotify I think started was active this 2021. I think that's when it started being like fully active in Uganda. But we don't have like the podcast section. You can't access that even on their app, right? But you can access the music part, and it started operations, like let's say that was last year, which is interesting. Even what is funny is I found out that even in the Caribbean, some of the countries never had access to Spotify. They also just got access to it in 2021, along with some parts in Africa.
Yes, I learned that too. I never really thought about it, to tell you the truth. I had read about it, but it didn't occur to me because we're so heavy in certain countries that the eggs are doing great in these baskets. So I wasn't really thinking about it. And then I said, oh, isn't that interesting? We just got a new country.
Yeah. So I was saying all this to say, like, for people that are getting to it, because even here musicians are getting into it, they're trying to understand how it works, how they can actually, some of them think that the way you can promote it is that, hey, I'm releasing a song Friday, and I send it and through an aggregator, and then have it live by Friday, and the work stops there. Some will stop at that, and then they will think that people will magically go to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever music platform to get them. So how can you help briefly break that down on how important streaming platforms are, and how artists can actually use them for the ones that are getting exposed to them at the moment?
So the importance of streaming platforms has been pretty established now throughout the US. So those of you who are just getting it in your country, obviously you're very new to it. You don't really know if it's something that is for you. I would say wherever you can stream, like there are distributors out there that will put your music on multiple streaming platforms. And if you can do that, you definitely should. Because even if you don't carry a playlist on all those platforms, you still need to be discoverable everywhere. Because, for instance, if you're promoting yourself on any platform, say social media, like an Instagram page, And people have Deezer or have Apple Music or have Spotify, or they get their music on YouTube and they save playlists. You want to make sure that you're represented on all those spaces, because there are people that are listening to Spotify that are not listening to anything else. And there are people over on Apple that are not listening on Spotify at all. So you definitely want to spread yourself across, because it's not really, you can go all in promoting one, right? No problem, but definitely be available, have the catalogs available everywhere streaming is. And depending on where your market is, of course, and if it's available to you. Another thing I would say these days to pay attention to on streaming is how you format your music. And I want to just bring this up because a lot of people have a different way of delivering a song than they would if it were going to radio. And a lot of newbies don't understand this, that lots of radio want to break in with the best parts of the song. They don't want to play all the bars before the song starts.
Yep.
And if you've ever really listened to radio, I rarely hear those big intros on any song they play.
They cut them out.
So right, yeah. So when you're doing a radio edit or even putting something on Spotify, I recommend not including the intro, because if you want to be on somebody's playlist, the best thing you can do for yourself is get to the action in the music as quickly as possible so that it doesn't get skipped. And so that people who have really active playlists aren't scared to put it on their playlist because you've made that intro too long, you know? So the importance of streaming is right there. Be everywhere and make sure that you're formatting your music so that it actually streams well, and you'll have a much better chance at getting there and being part of the platforms.
Yeah, and that's actually very important, the part of the intro, because a lot of people think that a lot of times you'll ask someone when they have new music and you say, how many formats do you have? They only have one format. And you're like,
yeah.
And
Yep.
then, because I remember there, like about a month ago, we were in studio and then someone had made a song, and I realized that the best verse was the second verse. And I was like, you can't make the second verse as the best.
Yeah.
It has to be the first verse.
Right. Yes. That's so true.
Because a lot of people play one verse and the chorus and they are away.
Well, you know what they're doing right now is a lot of artists are re-releasing music. And the reason why they're doing it is because maybe they released an album on Spotify previously, and Spotify said, well, we're just going to consider one song on the whole album unless you're releasing singles. So in order for them to consider songs for them and maybe make it to some of their top playlists, you have to re-edit your songs and re-release them. So a big trend is actually re-releasing your music. And if you're going to do it, definitely don't worry about editing out all the junk, like take out anything that's not exciting, that's not like, get those drops in there and make sure that the drops don't drop off. Make sure your EQ is good, your audio is good, make sure you are carrying that song all the way through, or shorten it. And we're seeing a trend now where, I don't know if you are, but songs are around 2 minutes.
1 minute and 40
seconds. Yes, exactly. They're getting shorter and a lot more of them. But if the quality is good and it gets to its point and it's something that people want to replay, that's all that really counts in the music business today, because it's a fast world.
Yeah, absolutely. So still on streaming platforms, then we have now Spotify playlists, right? Which are a big thing. So now what is the importance of that? How can someone get onto that, and so that they can easily expose the music to other people that probably they would easily get access to as only through playlists and getting that exposure?
So the best way to get exposure through Spotify playlists, and this is just this one app, is to create a Spotify playlist for yourself with your own music. Because when you're going to share a piece of music, it's much better to share a playlist of your music so that people will be encouraged to listen to more, instead of just giving them one song. Because depending on how their phone works and how they're accessing that music, it's much better to have the run arranged as you would like it to be heard, rather than let Spotify just suggest the next song, right? The second way is to collaborate with as many people as possible, because if you are on other playlists, that's actually really good credit for you. And Spotify has time and time again told people that they are tracking you like a social media page. Just consider Spotify a social media page that the industry looks at in order to look at your street credit. So if you are being shared, that's activity. If you are being saved, that's activity. If you release a song and it gets played in that first 24 hours, then the first 5 days, the first 10 days, the first quarter, right? The first month, they're reevaluating it constantly for these playlists. And that's the algorithm judging you as far as, are people listening all the way through? And if they are, and you're getting some decent exposure from the following that you have, granted, let's hope it's not a fake following, because if it's a fake following, none of this works. So don't buy followers, but like if you have a real following and they are getting the message and they're listening to the song all the way through, and you've managed to get it, like even if you shorten it, right? Now that's the advantage of having a shorter song, because now you have more time that's listening time. And this is where it acts like YouTube. YouTube is the same way. They want to suggest the videos that people watch as much of as possible and don't jump from the platform. So if your listeners, your people, are listening to your song all the way through, saving it, replaying it, and adding it to their playlist, then they're thinking, oh, okay, so you have proof of concept, because you already have people who are listening to you that like what they're hearing. So this song must be decent. So let's go ahead and give it a try. And they started on smaller lists. And as you consistently launch more songs and you perform well on those lists, and they keep tracking the activity, you can advance to better places in Spotify. So this is the advantage to being consistent, the advantage to always putting out good music, to putting out singles so you'll be considered for those playlists, and also to having as much traction as you can at the launch and that within that first month, which is what we do, is we make sure that we take only brand new songs, so that the minute they come out on Spotify, we've already prepared our plan 2 weeks ahead of time. And that way we can support the artist as well as we can right when that song comes out, hopefully on a Friday.
Absolutely.
Hint, hint, hopefully on a Friday.
Absolutely. I'm tired of people who just drop up a song on a Sunday, and you're like, come on, why would I don't and an album?
They're not reading.
How do you drop an album on a Sunday, on a Tuesday?
And
so it becomes interesting. So now still on the importance of new playlists, Spotify, and hey, the important part, I think, guys, you had that, leave the fake followers, guys, leave the fake listen.
It'll kill you everywhere on Instagram, YouTube. It'll kill you everywhere, because all the algorithms are set to first analyze if your own following is actually activated. If it's not, they're like, we don't know why,
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So now there is, even this is in, by the way, you have a newsletter they should check out, which is talking about the 8 music business predictions for 2022 that I advise everyone to check out. Where can they find it?
You can get my newsletter at jacquelinejax.medium.com. It's on a platform called Medium that is actually a wonderful platform filled with a lot of writers. So many, like everybody is writing on Medium. It's just great. And so you'll get notified if you subscribe to the newsletter right on your email, and that way you won't miss a thing.
Yeah. So if you go and check that out, you'll find that you get to talk about how TikTok is going to continue creating an impact in the music business. Mm-hmm. So how can you talk about the impact of TikTok and how it emerged and as a new phenomenon and overtook? I think it's the most, wasn't it? I think it surpassed Google in 2021 as far as the most visited site. I think it did surpass Google. It's interesting, that part.
What we've seen on TikTok is it's not only a platform that's attracting the gaming audience, but it's attracting Generation Z. So this generation has been a generation that people want to reach, and the generations following, of course, right? They really, really want to reach them. Every advertiser wants this generation, and every platform wants this generation. But what we're finding is that 80% of TikTokers are discovering music on TikTok. And this is where influence and TikTok both meet the music business. So you have basically a lot of record labels these days pouring out a lot of income into the influencers, the top influencers, to the point where these influencers have gotten together and they have management and they're getting big bucks.
Yep.
big bucks. I mean, they're driving Ferraris. They are selling space on TikTok big time. And you can't even get just an indie artist on a major influencer. So you have to develop relationships with the ones below, which is fine because that's still amazing exposure and it gets you in the system. So as an indie artist, what that means for you is whenever you can make friends with an influencer, and if your music is liked by someone, you need to develop a relationship with as many people as possible who will actually play your song in the file, right? In those short form videos, because short form video, wherever they are, if they're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you'll see reels everywhere. Create as many as you can that are really engaging and really interesting using your song. Now, if your song isn't available in the song files, you have to go to your distributor and make sure that you need to do what is necessary with your distributor to get them in there. Another thing that you want to look at is short form video on TikTok is the way to go. Short form video on YouTube, also the way to go. And short form video on Facebook, definitely. Instagram Reels, definitely. So these are things that you can work across every single platform. So you can make one on Instagram and save it and actually launch it all over the platforms. With the one exception, on TikTok, they have trends. So if you're a musician and you really want to get exposure, just putting a video on TikTok is going to get you a little bit. But if you find a way to work your personality and your music and what you're doing into the latest trends and the latest sounds on TikTok, that's when you can go viral and you can really gain some traction very quickly. A lot of people are just spending so much time launching 4 or 5 TikToks a day and not realizing that if they just picked up on the trends and just followed the trends and launched their version of it, they would get a lot more traction really, really fast. And then they might be part of the Generation Z learning about their music from their platform. And hopefully even maybe start at the next, cranberry juice trend on TikTok where your song goes viral like These Dreams and becomes a #1 hit again.
Yeah. What is the name of the guy again with cranberry juice? The guy who I'm forgetting the guy.
I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I remember seeing him on that skateboard, drink the
Yep.
cranberry juice, singing the song. And I'm like, wow, they literally went to #1, right?
Yes.
I mean, Fleetwood Mac ended up with their own TikTok page. They were able to sell all of their music. It became such a big, huge thing. They started releasing more. They started just getting back in the game big time online. They have their own social media pages, and then they hit #1 and held it for so long, and everybody was using their song on TikTok. It was crazy. And that's a song from the 60s. So
60s,
Generation Z, Generation Z wouldn't have known them at all. And here they are. Now everybody knows them. Yeah, that's the power right there. That story is what TikTok does.
Yeah, absolutely, it does that. And clearly, even like you said, labels are signing people from now. They don't look at how talented you are. They are more. They are looking at now what they call the data.
Yeah. So, that's true.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Now you have to get your numbers up. Now for an indie artist listening in right now, or someone that is getting started, now the question becomes: how do you break them on socials? How does that happen if someone is introducing their career and they have amazing music, they have done the work, but then they're looking for a break?
Well, I mean, if an indie artist has done the work and they have video and they've put their music in short form video, it's a lot easier for someone like me to break the artist. If they're just on streaming platforms, then it's fine because, we have a network and we have people that are already used to listening to new music and discovering through our platform. So, we have that in place. But if I were going to, say, okay, here's the things that you need, I would say for every single song, you should have at least 1 or 2 short form videos for the song. You know, I would even recommend, if you can, to play it live as well, because that's another video, and just get as many pieces of content together that express that song and the rest of your catalog as you can, and launch them throughout your social media pages, you know. Then depending on what social media page, I mean, we can go through like which pages, how to, you know, how to get more traction on that specific page, but it is different for each page. Like YouTube is one way, you know, you need a different plan for Instagram, a different plan for Facebook, a different plan for the other one, you know. So depending on what platform you're going to choose to do, unless you do them all, I mean, you're going to have to do some work. You really are. And hiring somebody, unfortunately, is not always the way to go, because one, you have to be careful today that you're hiring somebody who is just, you know, putting fake followers on your platform, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're on Instagram and somebody's reaching out to you in DM and saying, hey, you know, I can get you, you know, 100,000 followers in a week. And you're like, wow, really? Oh, good. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. How much is it? Oh, it's $100. I'm like, okay. How long does it take? Oh, it'll be done in like 24 hours.
Yeah.
If you believe that, then man, you have lost before you even began, because you will basically have to start a whole new platform. You won't be able to use that account once you do it, because Instagram, right, Instagram's going to say nobody comments on your posts, but you have 100,000 followers. So if nobody is commenting, we're not going to show that post to anyone, and there must be something wrong with it, you know. So you just work against yourself. So if you want to really, really do well, you have to do the work. You have to treat every single person on these social media platforms like they are your gold, because they're your fans. You know, when people get to be where they are, you hear them always thanking the fans, and they're not just thanking the fans, they're providing experiences for them. They're shaping out everything they do for those fans, because they understand at that point that without them, they would be nothing. That the music is amazing, and it's, you know, it's wonderful, and it's talented, and it's filled with you. But unless you have ears to listen to it, it's not going to do you any good, because musicians are, there's so many artists, you know, and we're all creating things, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. But you have to thank the fans. You have to appreciate them. And the biggest thing to do is anything that is a special experience for them. And that is what you're going to want to build moving forward. Even if you only have one fan, you need to think of that one fan. How can I make his day or her day so special? Once you get that right, you will just be bringing in fans and keeping them. They will recommend you, and you will grow even without hiring anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's seen with the successful acts. You know, when someone gets to a point where they'll drop music and drop merchandise and drop all these things, and they're easily bought. Someone easily buys, you know, your music, buys merchandise, but it's because of how you treat them that they feel like, you know, they are like part of you and part of the movement, and will easily support what you put out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now there is, I know we shall get to NFTs and also the gaming platforms that are also.
I was just thinking about NFTs actually when you said that. I read my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall get to NFTs, and but we still one more thing on you know, social media and how to get the right people for some people that really need help. How does someone easily find out the best person that can, either the publicist or someone is looking for, let's say, okay, for a manager, it's a bit challenging. You really have to have something sometimes for a manager to get to you.
Yeah,
but
proof of concept already, yeah.
Yeah, but for let's say someone is trying to work with the publicist, how can they really get the right people? It's tough also, by the way.
You know, that's a really good question, because I see so many publicists get my email address from, you know, these lists that are out there that you can buy a list from. And unfortunately, I don't know if you're the same way, or a lot of my radio station friends and blog friends and music curators, they don't discover music just by these like random press releases where they're just getting hit every single day. In fact, most of them block them. So hiring someone to do that and just, just constantly email, I don't really think that's the way to go, because I know that we don't discover music that way and we ask them to take us off the list, right?
I don't even check out the email.
Yeah, exactly. So these media companies that are doing this right now, they're getting a lot of money for it. And I don't think that it's actually productive. I would, instead of hiring that, I would maybe get an assistant or tackle it yourself and reach out to one great person that you admire, like, and trust in the music industry. So what I do every single day, and I still do this every day, is I look for someone in radio or in promotion or someone in the industry every day that I can connect with, get to know what their projects are, get to know what it is that they're into and what they're interested in, and just talk to them just to see, what is the music business going for you? Like, how is it? What are you working in and what projects are you supporting? Because I think that this industry has come to a moment where there's so many people in it. And with podcasting and radio and blogging and music curation and influencer marketing, you literally won't even touch the surface, even just meeting one good quality person every single day, And if you put that time into that and you genuinely are interested in people, those relationships will grow over time. And what that will do, if you're just looking, how I can advance, you're not only going to end up with some great friends in the industry that you love, but you're also going to end up having some amazing advice and hopefully some opportunities if you do have something that they absolutely love. Because if you're following somebody and you have a relationship with them and you ask them genuinely, you have that kind of relationship, like, don't just ask people to listen to your music, because usually we don't have time, right? Like 100,000 emails a day, like, please,
Yep.
I want to listen to them all, but I don't have time. So once you have a good relationship and you support everything they do and you've been around a while and you put in the effort and the time, eventually it will come time where that person will hear your music. And if at that moment it is great, they will help you. And that is just the way this business has really shaped out. People are always looking to discover new music, but they don't always have the time to check everything out that is asked of them. So you need to start by supporting what it is that they do first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's still the thing that should be done. You reach out to someone, get to know them, talk to them before you actually send that email. Actually ask them the email that you can send that to, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah, because
it's
really
hard,
check it out.
No, it's hard. Listen, if I were an indie artist today, the first thing I would do is I would, this is actually probably one of the best advice I can give you. If I were an indie artist today, I would set up a really amazing online space, including all the latest social media platforms. I would build out the first thing that everyone sees is the bios, and like on Instagram, it's the top 9, and Facebook, it's the pinned post, and whatever else after that. No repetition, just really unusual, authentic, even if it's just me on video talking to you, but I would shape it out and I would make it really consistent. And then I would focus on one at a time and get to know all the people in the industry that are on that platform. And I would start there, because you're going to get fans no matter what, but just interacting on their profiles and talking to them on their profiles, people are going to see your comments and then they're going to jump over to yours and see what's going on with you. So just by being generous and getting involved in the conversation on social media, you will organically grow. And in the beginning, you might be thinking it's slow, but you know what? It only takes 1,000 fans to spend $100 a year with you for you to make a lot of money a year. So think about the numbers and don't get discouraged. You only need to get like 100 people that really, really like your stuff, and then 1,000 people that really like your stuff. So just, make the contacts, go out there and be generous and find out who you can talk to and follow their stuff and say happy Christmas and, and just get involved in what they're doing and just get interested in people. That's the best way to use social media to build your platform.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know how. I think some of them haven't developed the skills of actually networking with people, and because there are things that people like this information that we're giving right now on the show right now, other people will charge you to get it, right? But because we try to share this and then have it on, it doesn't mean that we are the only. Which means there are other people that do this too, that would help you out there. You just have to keep networking and building your network. Don't start by wanting to have 1,000 followers like you, 1,000 people supporting your music like you said. Start with 2. Start with
the expectations.
That number.
Yeah. Well, a lot of artists that I talk to, their expectations are so high, and I don't want to be the burst of bubble, but the fact of the matter is the ones that are doing really, really well have been in it for quite some time and have been really consistent. I'm working with some artists that spend a lot of time on their video. They've been invested over a year now, every single day, and every song putting out quality video. And they're just now starting to get that following. But, you got to think that it's an inventory. So you're investing in your inventory. Even if the first one didn't take off, maybe the 20th one is going to take off. Maybe it's going to take off for you 2 years down the road. But the people who are going to see you then are going to go back and hit all that previous work. And you need it. You need it. And it has to be great. So always invest in your video and everything you do as it is yourself. Know that it is you. It is going to represent you out there on the internet moving forward for a lifetime until you take it down. And even if you take it down, it probably isn't going to come down. It's probably still going to be there. So you're always growing. Stay confident. Don't back off. Don't be afraid to put stuff out there. But at the same time, don't be afraid of what you put into this, because what you put into it, you will eventually get out. You just have to stay in it. You have to be consistent.
Absolutely. Yeah, consistency is everything. Sometimes, and this because we spend a lot of hours doing almost doing the same thing. You know that there are times where you get up and you feel like, I don't know if I can keep going. And then
I remember those days.
when you're thinking of that there is when you get a response to an email of something you had suggested to do and someone hadn't gotten back to you. Because a lot of people think that in the music business, if I say, hey, I need to talk to Jackie today, it has to happen today, or it has to happen tomorrow. Sometimes it can take you 6 months, guys. You have to be patient.
I know. Yeah.
I've had responses that have happened after 8 months.
It happens like that sometimes. You not only have like a busy industry, right, and I feel like I'm always struggling to juggle a lot, right, and also a home life and taking care of my health is really important. I've actually shifted that this last few years, but you have to have patience, and you have to remember you can't be one of those people that thinks that if somebody doesn't get right back to you, that you should be offended, because that's just really not the case. At any time, I don't know how many people you're in a conversation with at any one time between social and email and everything else you're doing, but I would guarantee it's a lot. So, right?
Because if I do like 20 songs a day, I killed myself doing that, by the way. I don't know why I decided to do that.
I don't know how you did.
But since I did, so which means I have to be in contact with 20 people almost every single day to make sure that I keep tabs on, we have it on, and I
feel for you on that, because I was in that space a long time ago, and that is not easy. That is really hard. Nobody's ever ready either. Nobody's ever ready. The
work has to be put in. So now the interesting part is this: the gaming platforms, and for people that are getting introduced to this, because now looking like at the landscape, let's say in Africa, people are getting to the streaming platforms now. They're getting to adapt to that. We can put music on streaming platforms, though some are still being cheated out of that, by the way. Someone else uploads and then someone uses their music, and it's not easy to track
Oh,
when it,
yeah.
then
Yeah.
people are taking advantage of. But I think with time and with shows like this, some people will get to be enlightened sometimes, and
Yeah.
they will be
Mhm.
sharp on that. So, but let's talk about the gaming platforms and how you predicted that in 2022 them and social media will still be the first choice of Gen Z in discovering music, because I know with socials we have TikTok, and then now the gaming platforms, that are on Twitch and doing all these sorts of things.
Mhm.
Uh, what do you see in 2022 happening in those platforms?
Well, in 2022, we're basically running off of what just happened, right? We've
Yeah.
just had a pandemic, and many people have shifted to working at home, which gives them an awful lot of time.
Yep.
And instead of going out, they had to figure out a way to entertain themselves. So a lot of people got into gaming, right? And they also have a disposable income like never before. Some people are making more money by staying home than they were when they were working. And
Yeah.
that's going to be terrible to try and get people back out to work, because I don't know anybody who wants to go back out to work. I personally am not. I'm staying right here. Now that I can work from home, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have a completely different situation all around the world. But with that, this is why I think indie artists have it good, because you can reach anyone on social media. I mean, you can reach me through social media pages. You just go and leave comments on my stuff and I will eventually see it, so you can get a hold of people and you can access people like never before. As a result, the gaming platforms are places where people are discovering everything, and they're also playing with each other, like they're becoming social media communities in these gaming platforms, right? As well as the streaming services are getting more interactive. I hope that Spotify actually does develop the activity level where we can see who's listening and following. That would be really cool. But then again, if I don't even know that they think that music is their number one, income generator. That's why they're doing a lot of podcasting, and they're going to kind of, they're getting into video. So as far as gaming and social media, I would say that you're going to see access to so much more than you've ever had as an indie artist. So you want to be on the platforms, you want to be involved. And if you're interested in any of these things, then definitely put a little time and do some research and see what's happening, because you want to look at the demographic of the people that are in the space that you're interested in, who they are, and will they actually like your music. Now, another thing you have to do is be honest, because not everybody likes every kind of music. Yet almost every artist that I talk to thinks that everybody would like their song. So, let's do the math, like music is a taste that is really specific.
Yeah.
People get really offended, in fact, if they're like having to listen to music that they don't like. It's the only art form that actually gets that kind of response, like it's like a love and hate relationship.
Now,
And as a right
I've
as
been
a
called names. I stopped giving
yes,
feedback to songs I don't like. I just stopped.
it
If I
is.
don't like it, I'm not I'm not I'm not answering to that, because you
It
try to
is.
help someone and you say, hey, if it's a rap song, you're like, hey, you're a bit of beat here. Can you try, and I think you can try and rectify that. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden insults come in and you're like, come on, I didn't call for this, I can literally ignore this, okay?
I mean, people really think that 3 minutes or 2 minutes now, right? Or even 1 minute, 40 seconds is a massive amount of time in their life when it's a bad song or something that they just don't get. It really does land on bad ears. So if you think that your music is going to appeal to everyone, don't do that. Definitely try and listen or get some opinions from other people. This is where those relationships are really handy, because people will be like, oh, okay, yep, I know that. This is going to go here, and this is why a lot of music curators get frustrated, because everyone pitches them everything and that you don't actually listen to what they're putting on their list. So many times you'll see, if they have a page up where you can submit music, it'll say, please listen to the list first, right? And if you don't and you send them something, they probably will never answer your email again.
Yep.
So it's really important that you understand who your audience is, what you're actually producing, and try to do it consistently. Because if you do it consistently, then the previous contacts will work for the next one and the next one, and the followers will work for the next one and the next one, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So now also, I know we shall end up with the NFTs, but let's talk about, you had an interesting prediction for me. This caught me. This caught me like off guard. But then when I read why you suggested that, then it started to make sense, because I remember that there is another aspect of entertainment that actually works over there, and that is Saudi Arabia. You said that would be the next destination for major tours, and having a different music ecosystem that is supported by tourism, right? And then first I was surprised and shocked, but then I remember that in boxing, a lot of matches are done in Saudi Arabia. A lot of big matches are done over there.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, so the music is also shifting. What, for someone listening in that is just getting introduced to this, break that down for them, what you mean by Saudi Arabia being the next, destination for major tours.
So Saudi Arabia, I believe, is going to be a destination for major touring, because there's a spark that needs to happen in the ecosystem. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, but on the news, they're talking a lot about electric cars.
Yes.
And electric things, right? So what that means is there's going to be a lot less oil that is going to be needed. So Saudi Arabia is all about oil. And if they lose even a little percentage of that income, they've got to find a way to make it up. And so you see these big buildings and these big vacation destinations happening in Saudi Arabia, and it's been planned for quite some time. It's actually their backup ecosystem. They are becoming the big place, the big ticket for tourism. And they're spending the money because they have the money.
They have it.
To attract everyone from the major tours to, just anybody that they think is going to be a draw to be the big next Vegas, right? But in Lux, I mean, it is deluxe Saudi Arabia. It's like Vegas used to be, you know what I mean? Before it went to like stadium seating, and like, I don't even know you, and you can't bring that drink into the lounge, So like, it's now like the creme de la creme of everything, and everyone goes, right? Anybody who's anyone goes there for vacations, for big events. So when I say that it's a major spark in tourism, and therefore they're going to lead the industry in concerts, it's all part of it. Vegas was built on getting people into gamble, right?
Yes.
But they did it by having major events. You went to go see the fights. You saw Muhammad Ali in Vegas. You saw, the major stars, go and perform in the big showrooms. And as a result, you stayed in the hotels, you got comped for everything. Food and everything, and you gambled a certain amount, and it was kind of like expected that you were going to spend a certain amount of money in this casino, and they were tracking every inch of it, and as a result you got everything paid and you got invited back. So this kind of thing is what Saudi Arabia knows is going to be their big money maker. So where last year they had I think like 100 concerts in 2019 was the last time, right? And then the pandemic kind of slowed things down. Well, they are gearing up to have 600 concerts. Wow. 600 concerts. Think about that in Saudi Arabia in a year.
600.
Now, whether 600 concerts as opposed to 100 concerts that they had previously. Now, whether that's going to happen right away this year, it all depends on how they react to the current pandemic numbers. Now what I'm hearing is that the pandemic is kind of morphing into a lesser that's my husky. She's ready to go. So I'm hearing that they're morphing into a less than like some kind of like a flu. And I'm really, really hoping, because we're getting ready to lock down here too again for like the 50th time, right? But if Saudi Arabia doesn't react that way, then you're going to see that kick off really, really quickly. And it probably will anyway, because they're just, I just don't see them locking down now. So I don't think that they're going to make anything stop. I think that's going to be the place where everybody's going to want to go, because it's escaping, and they're going to get escapism plus, just this treasure of such a fun time to go and enjoy music. Music always has to be the lead, right? Music is how we live our lives. So of course, music is going to be big in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's watch out for that. Let's keep tabs on that. But now with there's a new variant that they reported. What is it? IHU. And they say it has like 46 mutations. And I was like, why do we need all?
It's airborne too. Yeah. It is. But I hear that, well, I've had a few friends that have had it and have it actually this week, and they're saying that the symptoms are a lot less. And that would be, to me, that's kind of like, a little bit of a good sign, because maybe we're getting to a point with the vaccinations and everything else that maybe it's mutating into more of the common flu, even though it's still taking lives and it's still very serious. So you have to be very careful. And if you're going to be in an enclosed space, definitely wear your mask, and, it's airborne. So you just don't want to inhale it,
Absolutely. So last, we shall look at NFTs. That is, I think this year, because towards the end of last year, it became a big thing. And I think this year it will be way bigger than it was last year. So, but talk to us about NFTs and where do you see this going?
So NFTs are non-fungible tokens.
Yes.
And it's really an abstract concept. It is. If you're not into Bitcoin, if you're not into NFTs, then, watch some videos on YouTube, because they do a really good job of explaining it. Like 150 people have done a good job of explaining it on YouTube. And where music is coming in is the big artists are learning that there's a lot of income in this area, right? People have these wallets that are set up and they have nothing to spend it on. Yeah. So some people have literally accumulated hundreds of thousands of dollars. And by doing these non-fungible tokens, these NFTs, you can use some of that coin to own something. So what they've found is right now, like, different artists, especially the ones that already have fans, right? So of their fans, a certain percentage of those fans have these wallets. And they're finding that by building out a customized experience or something really, really unusual and including it as part of an NFT, then that person can now own a piece of something really iconic, and in our time that is really, really special and different by bidding on an NFT from their favorite artist. I mean, even Whitney Houston has an NFT. It's like everybody's getting them. And it's not just the NFT. I mean, some of them are like, Melania Trump has an NFT and she's like talking on it, Paris Hilton, of course, because if there's something going on in pop culture, Paris Hilton is definitely in there.
Absolutely.
So like everybody's getting them. Whether or not your NFT will sell, it depends on if you have an audience that actually has some coin, or if the NFT just gets seen and you're able to market it to that crowd. Like maybe you could use Instagram ads or Twitter ads or something, or put it out there in ways that people can discover it and they'll be interested. I know that the big ticket items are going, now that everybody's getting into it. The mainstream artists are, of course, the big ones to get and to collect. And with them, they'll come with maybe concert experiences or something really special that is coming up. Maybe they get free backstage passes for the rest of their life. Every concert they get, they come with something special. And that kind of leads me and finishes off with the fact that even if you're an indie artist starting, even if you don't want to do an NFT and it's too expensive to actually put one on the market for yourself, think about what kind of personalized experiences you can offer fans that do find out about your music, even if it's one at a time, and allow them to get into that really, really low cost so that you can get them on your email list and start nurturing them as a super fan. That way, come Christmas, when you have something really great to sell, you might actually, my dog wants to come Christmas, when you have something to sell, you might actually be able to generate that $100,000 with just like, 100 fans, 1,000 fans. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. So, guys, first of all, how anyone that is listening in right now that wants to get to the services that you offer, how can they reach out to you?
The easiest way to find me is go to avaliveradio.info, and there's message pages on there that you can get in touch with. You can also go to my Instagram page at Jacqueline Jax. I am on Instagram all the time, and I actually do check the messages on Instagram. I'm scared to tell you that, but I do check them. It might not happen quickly. Depends on how many messages are in there. And, as always, if you go through the radio station, then they will definitely find me. That's probably the fastest way to get an answer, is an email there. But I would definitely start by joining the newsletter at jacquelinejax.medium.com, because after every newsletter there is a way to get in touch with me, and it always includes, like, if I am accepting more indie artists, then it'll be there. Come here, baby. I wish you could see her. She's so cute. She's really pretty. She's a husky, by the way, for those of you listening.
You have two amazing dogs.
I have two of them. Yeah. And they want to play right now. They're like, okay, that's it. That's all you get. You've been here for like an hour and a half, and that's it.
Yeah. That's
so yeah, just pay attention to the newsletter, because on every newsletter, I always include either a way to get a hold of me, a social media page that I'm doing a project on, or a way to submit your music. And if you're an indie artist, a great place to go is avaliveradio.info/airplay.
Yes, go over there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Go check that out. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Xtreme BVM and the Huskies too. One is Misty, the other one is called
Sky.
Yeah.
Sky.
Yeah.
They're on my social page if you want to go see them.
Yeah, absolutely. So
they've been good, actually. They've been really good, because they're only 11 months. So this is like big time for them. This is 2 interviews, 2 days in a row for, yesterday was an hour and a half with the festival, and today was about that. They've been good.
They're like, we can't have this anymore.
No, they're like, come on, come play with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show, and this was great. I had a great time.
Thank you for having me. This is really fun. I look forward to the next one. And for all the indie artists out there, just be consistent, be positive, always remember that you have something to learn, because you're going to grow and continue to grow from this day on. All right. That's all I'm going to say. I'm coming. I'm going. Bye. Bye, you guys.
Thank you so much.